Every corner of this earth, beneath the polished speeches and the glitter of democracy, lurks a darker truth. A truth of systems built not to serve, but to control. Politicians, cloaked in slogans and false smiles, have led nations into ruin. Under the illusion of freedom, they have written laws to enslave. The world is burning, not from nature, but from the greed of men in suits, arms sharper than swords. Brave people, but messed up leaders. Once a land of promise, fertile, proud, bursting with talent. Now, the economy limps, prices rise like curses. It's no longer hidden. It walks boldly in parliament halls, smiling for cameras. Billionaire politicians fly overhead in choppers, while citizens wait for a bus that may never come. Every year, the same empty promises echo from atop campaign trucks. And every year, nothing changes. No roads, no jobs, no future, only power-hungry mouths and clueless men who mistake volume for vision. But every broken system births resistance. Every lie eventually meets its reckoning. And so, dear listener, step forward, into the smoke, into the silence, into the rage. This is no fairy tale. This is no safe story. This is the ghosts of the Republic. And now, your voice and ours, the one who will guide you through it all, the unshaken witness of this storm, Janet Shuja.
Thank you, Mr. Justice Searcher. The truth is, the ghosts are not myths. They are not rumors whispered in fear. They are real. They have no names, only purpose. No politics, only judgment. And they will haunt us, torment us, until we do something about this mess bedeviling our nation. In a country where corruption wears suits, where justice is bought, not sought, where leaders lead only themselves, they have returned, not for vengeance, but for balance. What you are about to hear is not just a story, it's a reckoning. Welcome to Ghosts of the Republic, a series drawn from the novel of the same name, written by a concerned Kenyan, a patriot with a pen and a purpose. Go ahead, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Oh, before I forget, all visuals on your screen, purely cooked up by our friend AI. Any resemblance to actual people, places, or events, total coincidence. Hope we good? Awesome. Now, let's dive into it. This is episode 1 in our series, and I will be your narrator on the mic, Janet. He wanted him dead. Nothing else, the police boss said while looking around, his voice low and tense. He has taken nothing. He wanted nothing but to finish him. Wanted him dead. Poor Honorable. The killer wasn't interested in anything but to terminate him. A bullet right in the head. This doesn't look good. He now stood over the body, his hand brushing against the brim of his cap as if trying to steady himself. This isn't some amateur. This is a precise killer. I tell you, this freak was a principled murderer. He straightened slowly, his gaze fixed on the lifeless man sprawled on the floor, blood pooling beneath his head. The dim light of the room flickered, casting shadows that seemed to mock the scene. This one doesn't waste bullets, he continued, his tone dark, almost reverent. Every shot has a purpose. Every move, every seam's calculated. Whoever did this wasn't just committing a murder, he was sending a message. He glanced at his officers clustered near the door. Their faces were pale, and their silence deepening. The room felt suffocating, the weight of the crime pressing down on everyone present. And the message? One of the younger cops asked, his voice cracking slightly. The police boss turned his eyes back to the body, his expression grim. That no one is untouchable. No matter what, everyone meet his fate. The police boss's jaw clenched as he surveyed the scene. His fist tightened at his side, the faint tremor in his hand betraying the storm brewing inside him. The room smelled of gunpowder and blood, the air thick with silence. Whoever did this, his voice cracked, low and rough, isn't just ruthless. This is the work of a bloodthirsty vampire, he was shouting. He glanced at the others in the room, his eyes dark with determination. But I'll hunt him down. Mark my words. His voice wavered slightly before fading. I'm gonna catch him, skin him alive, and drag the bastard to hell. I swear. Why would someone do this? Mr. M's voice broke the silence, trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. He shifted uncomfortably in his thick coat, its collar barely shielding him from the night's biting chill. His lips quivered as he spoke, his breath fogging the air in front of him. At 70, Mr. M had stood over countless crime scenes, but this one felt different. The call had yanked him out of bed, pulling him into the cold grip of duty. Now, under the glare of harsh fluorescent lights, he felt the weight of his years settle deep in his bones. As Minister for Internal Security, he had no choice. He had to be here. This wasn't just protocol. This was personal. A national matter, yes, but beyond that, a friend's death. Honorable K wasn't just another casualty. He was close to the president, close to him. K was his tribe kinsman, his dearly beloved family friend, enchanted in-laws of the president. And now, he was gone. Mrs. K paced the length of the room, her steps frantic, her sobs filling the air like a haunting melody. Her movements were jittery, one hand gripping her shawl tightly around her shoulders, as if it could shield her from the horror. Her other hand fluttered to her face repeatedly, wiping at tears that refused to stop. She stopped abruptly, turning to face them. Her voice cracked as she spoke. My husband, is he really gone? The words seemed to shatter in the air, her grief too much to contain. She resumed pacing, her footsteps echoing against the wooden floor. Mr. M moved toward her, his hand resting awkwardly on her shoulder. I'm so sorry, Mrs. K, he said, his voice uncharacteristically soft. Mrs. K shook her head, clutching the handkerchief he handed her. Her fingers trembled as she dabbed at her tear-streaked face. I was upstairs, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I heard him shout, then a loud bang. She paused, her chest heaving. I ran down. I don't understand why. She gestured toward the lifeless body on the floor, her voice breaking further. There were words carved into his chest. Sweeper was here. Her sobs intensified, her body racked with grief. Mr. M's eyes narrowed, the name searing itself into his mind. Mr. Omolo, he said sharply, turning to the police boss. Who could this killer be? His tone carried the weight of his position, but there was a raw edge to it, a rare crack in his carefully constructed facade. Omolo shifted uneasily, pacing near the window. His fingers tugged at his graying hair as though pulling at an answer buried deep in his mind. Hard to say. He exhaled slowly, glancing at Mrs. K. Did your husband had any enemies? Business? Political rivals? Anyone who might have wanted him dead? Mrs. K sniffled, clutching the handkerchief tighter. Not that I know of, she whispered, shaking her head. Her voice was thin, fragile, as though it might snap at any moment. This isn't about politics, the minister snapped, his voice rising. He slammed his hand against the wall, startling the others in the room. His frustration boiled over, spilling into his words. This killer is a terrorist, a devil, a monster, a vampire who feeds on the blood of innocents. His voice was echoing. Mrs. K flinched at his outburst, her sobs momentarily silenced. Omolo stopped pacing, his jaw tightening as he stared at the minister. The tension in the room was palpable, the air charged with unspoken fears. Outside, the neighbors had begun to gather, murmuring in concern. Some were now shouting. Levida was a peaceful, upscale neighborhood, untouched by violence, crime for nearly 30 years. But now, it felt as though its peace had been shattered. As the paramedics lifted Kay's body onto the stretcher, M stood by, watching in grim silence. He couldn't shake the uneasy feeling settling in his chest. The sight of the lifeless man, once so powerful and feared, stirred something in him. He had known Kay for years, long enough to understand that this wasn't just a random killing. This was serious. This was a political, personal war. Kay had terrorized many during his time in power. As a member of parliament and a close ally of the president, he had wielded his influence like a weapon. He was a corrupt, arrogant freak. His political decisions ignited cries. Behind that polished political facade lay a man who had crushed anyone who stood in his way. His enemies weren't just political rivals. They were ordinary people, victims of his greed and cruelty. M had witnessed it firsthand. Kay had a knack for using the system to his advantage, bending laws, making threats, and silencing those who dared question him. Land seizures, bribes, shady deals. He was involved in all of it. He wasn't just feared, he was hated. To many, he was a tyrant in a suit, untouchable, until now. The words, "Sweeper was here," echoed in M's mind. This could very well be someone Kay messed up with. Revenge wasn't far-fetched. Many people suffered under Kay's ruthless grip. And now, someone couldn't take it no more. Someone had taken justice into their own hands. The minister seemed shaky and trembling. He stood still, staring at the empty doorway. The cold air outside crept into the room, sending a chill down his spine. His heart was pounding. He hadn't felt this kind of fear in years. Now it was creeping back, seizing him unexpectedly, weakening him. Kay was dead, but the writing left on his chest, "Sweeper was here," felt like a message for more than just the fallen politician. It was a warning. M knew that much. He shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting around the room. What if Sweeper wasn't finished? What if this was only the beginning? He knew all too well the kind of person who might come after a man like Kay because he, too, had made enemies over the years. Abductions, backdoor deals, blackmail, and threats. The minister knew himself. He was dirty. He was corrupt. Ghosts of the past, present, and future haunted him. He destroyed families, silenced opponents. He sent many to graves, looted the nation, and caused cries across the country. But he had always told himself he had no otherwise. He was poor old man, just a concerned leader with appetite for public goods. It was nothing but politics, game of jungle, game of survival in Africa. Man gotta do what he gotta do to survive. But now, with Kay's lifeless body etched into his memory, the old justifications seemed hollow. He suddenly felt empty within, and he feared it. For the first time, doubt crept in. He was whispering to himself, what if Sweeper has a list? What if I am the next target? What if he hasn't disappeared yet? What if he is lurking around? His throat tightened as the thought gripped him. He now looked around the compound and across the fence, and everyone and everything looked suspect. He could almost feel the shadow looming over him, ready to strike. He had always prided himself on being careful, staying one step ahead of his enemies. But now, for the first time in years, he felt vulnerable. M quickly shook his head, forcing the terrifying thoughts out of his mind. No, he told himself. I am smart. I am Minister of Internal Security, am strategic. Kay was stupid. To hell with him, poor bastard. The minister kept a lower profile, made calculated movies, fewer enemies, or so he wanted to believe. He straightened up, adjusting his tie, trying to regain his composure. This was just a predetermined death, he thought. Kay had it coming. Whatever mess he was involved in, I would stay clear of it. There was no reason for Sweeper to come after him. He was safe. Everything was fine. As he turned from the scene, his heart gave a sudden throb, and a cold sweat traced down his spine. But he brushed off the fear clawing at him, forcing it down. I've survived worse. This just nothing. With that thought, he steeled himself and walked back to the house. Dark clouds were gathering high in the sky, and the croaking of frogs echoed through the thickening night.